Welcome to this Exam Prep Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the Nutanix Certified Professional Multi-Cloud Infrastructure, or NCP-MCI 7.5 blueprint. Specifically, we're tearing apart Topic 2.6 together. We're going to focus strictly on the policy engine and projects and really unpack what makes them absolutely foundational for us infrastructure admins. Okay, here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with why these concepts matter, walk through Nutanix projects, take a deep dive into the policy engine, highlight those sneaky exam traps and edge cases, and wrap up with the key facts you absolutely must memorize. Section 1. Why these concepts matter, managing resources and isolation. So before we get into the weeds, let's talk about the why. We fundamentally need projects and the policy engine because they solve some massive administrative headaches, namely resource overconsumption and the total lack of self-service boundaries in a multi-cloud environment. Think about it. Without these tools, just one rogue development team or a poorly optimized workload could literally gobble up all your available compute or storage. And that starves your mission-critical apps. These features act as the guardrails you absolutely need to safely hand over self-service provisioning to your consumers, mathematically guaranteeing your cluster stays healthy. Section 2. Walk through Nutanix projects, structuring access and limits. Let's break down what a Nutanix project actually is. The most important thing to grasp here is that a project isn't a physical thing. It's just a logical grouping, a construct that helps you define specific settings and operational boundaries for a set group of users or a tenant. Think of it like a dedicated, isolated workspace. It pulls together your Active Directory users or groups so you can manage a common set of requirements for them, like an engineering team all collaborating in one fenced-off area. When you spin up a project, you're essentially bundling these specific components together to control exactly what those users can deploy and, frankly, how much they're allowed to consume. You dictate the networks they can tap into, you set the default Virtual Central Processing Unit, or vCPU, and Virtual Random Access Memory, or VRAM, for their VMs, and, crucially, you enforce strict quota and snapshot policies so they don't accidentally drain your infrastructure dry. Now, to make sure only the right people are doing the right things inside these projects, we lean heavily on identity and access management, or IAM. This is how we explicitly assign permissions via authorization policies. Now remember this for the exam. After you set up user authentication, the default state is 0 permissions, absolutely none. You have to explicitly assign roles to an identity for them to do, well, anything. Let's ground this with a real-world scenario, the kind you're almost guaranteed to see on the exam. Imagine a dev team that needs an isolated workspace. They want to move fast, right? They want to provision their own VMs without throwing an IT ticket over the fence every time they need a test server. To pull this off safely, you'd follow this exact playbook. First, create the project. Second, map out their IAM roles. Third, lock their networking down to specific virtual private clouds, or VPCs. And finally, slam down those rigid quota limits. The beauty of this exact sequence is that it totally empowers the team to work autonomously via self-service, while your defined limits mathematically ensure they can't take down the cluster, even if they spin up 50 test VMs at 2 a.m. Section 3. Walk through the policy engine, enforcing the rules. Okay, so we've got the rules set in the project, but who actually enforces them? That's the policy engine. You must remember for the exam that the policy engine is deployed as a single VM setup right in your Prism central network. It's the enforcer, and it's not just some invisible background service. It needs its own dedicated IP address when you enable it. It sits there actively enforcing resource quotas for compute, memory, and storage, and it also handles orchestrating application tunnels on your VPCs. Let's throw a curveball with a second scenario. How on earth do you implement this enforcer if your infrastructure is sitting in a highly secure, offline dark site with 0 internet access? This is a classic exam question. The test makers want to know if you understand that dark site enablement is actually a manual process. You have to jump on an internet-connected device, download the policy engine tar file, and, this is critical, ensure strict version matching with your Prism Central instance. Then you physically bring that image into your disconnected environment, untar it, and run those deployment scripts locally to stand up your single VM enforcer. Now, check this out because it's a huge operational detail from the source docs. When you SSH, secure shell, into your Prism Central instance to run the backup script for your policy engine database, the policy engine itself becomes completely unavailable. It stays offline until that local backup at the /home/Nutanix/data/backups directory is totally finished. Make a massive mental note of that downtime behavior. And if you get hit with a database restore question, the exact same downtime rule applies. But procedurally, remember, you absolutely must list the backups first using that -list flag before you actually fire off the restore command with the -f flag. And yeah, the engine will be totally unavailable during the restore too.
Section 4. Exam traps and edge cases, where candidates stumble.
Listen up, because this right here is a massive exam trap. Starting with version PC.2024.1, legacy quotas are dead, finished. Prism Central totally discontinued supporting or enforcing those old legacy quotas that you used to define directly in the projects. Now, you must explicitly go into the Admin Center settings and enable the policy engine to enforce any quotas at all. If a scenario asks why a quota is being ignored on PC.2024.1, the answer is guaranteed to be that the policy engine hasn't been enabled. You also got to watch out for quota math edge cases. Project limits are strictly squeezed between internal account allocations and global provider limits. It's like a strict mathematical sandwich. If your project has a Nutanix account and a VMware account inside it, you cannot set the project limit lower than what you've already promised those internal accounts. On the flip side, you can't give the project a limit higher than what your global Nutanix and VMware providers actually have to offer. And when it comes to upgrading the policy engine, don't get tricked by answers mentioning the legacy foundation GUI or some manual bash script. Always choose the Lifecycle Manager, or LCM. LCM is the end-to-end update tool here. It intelligently tracks these software components to ensure absolute compatibility, completely bypassing the clunky, traditional Acropolis operating system, or AOS, and hypervisor update cycles. Section 5. Key facts to memorize. Your exam cheat sheet. We're in the final stretch. Take a mental screenshot right now because these 4 absolute truths will guide you through almost any question on subtopic 2.6. 1. It's a single VM setup. 2. It is strictly required for quotas in PC 2024.1 and later. 3. It goes completely unavailable during database backups and restores. 4. You upgrade it exclusively via LCM. If you know these 4 things cold, you are going to crush this section. I'm going to leave you with this final question to chew on. Test your own retention right now. If you can confidently answer this, recalling those strict rules about the math sandwich we just talked about, then you have truly mastered projects in the policy engine. Keep studying those blueprints, and best of luck on your NCP-MCI 7.5 certification journey.